Hey guys, so I'm doing the Kraftwerks install and just wanted to share a few things that I found useful over the few days that I've been doing this. First thing is the pulley. When it comes to installing this onto the supercharger, it can be a little bit difficult when you're torquing it because as you're turning in clockwise, it tends to move the pulley clockwise also. What I found to be easier was hand tightening these screws, putting the belt on. The belt adds tension to the pulley and prevents the whole pulley from moving when you torque these. And word of caution, you don't want to spin this to the left counterclockwise. According to the instructions, that will break the supercharger. This should only be moving clockwise. I'm assuming even right now it's not a good idea to move it because there's no oil in there. But just to let you know. Another thing is the pipe coming out of the supercharger. It's kind of a tight fit, but there is a silicone connector here that goes to a pipe right here. And that pipe is actually right down here. And it fits pretty well, you know, despite what the instructions say. I had to remove the horn because the horn was right here. And I had to take the horn out, and here's the horn right now. So I have no idea where I'm going to put this, but I'm sure I could figure that out, maybe to the left of the bracket. So you're going to have to remove that horn, as well as a plastic cover that goes behind here. But the issue I found was when I used the elbow that Kraftwerks supplies to connect from this to this, it was such a close fit that the pipe was rubbing up against this metal piece right here. And the problem with that is, you know, I'm assuming if this thing is moving a little bit, or even if it's just touching with the, you know, regular vibrations of the car, it's going to chip away at the piping, this pipe right here. So what I went ahead and did was order an extender, which is basically going to extend this out, and then that's going to allow me to push this further out. So I don't know if that makes sense, but here's what I ordered. I went to silicone intakes and I ordered a stainless steel joiner. And then I also ordered a straight coupler. Both of these are 2.5 inches diameter. And just using this for an example, this is not the actual piece, but just to show as an example. From the intercooler, you're going to put this joiner that's coming in right here, and it's going to be secured with that coupler that I just showed you on the computer right here. And then to the left side of this joiner will be the elbow that Kraftwerks supplies to connect from here to this pipe right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to add a few, you know, maybe an inch or two to the left of the intercooler. So that way the elbow from Kraftwerks doesn't sit so far in and causes this to rub. It's now going to push it out a little bit, which will also push this pipe out, which will prevent it from rubbing with that metal piece right there. So hopefully that makes sense. Just cover this guy back up. The biggest thing that I had a problem with was this nut right here. This is going to go back to page 8, steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. You're going to be installing this bracket, which is going to hold up the hot air intake. Now for the instructions, what they want you to do is they want you to go to that nut, the one that has the red markings on it, and take that off. And then after you take that off, slide this on top and then put the nut back on. And then what will happen is the hot air intake is going to secure up to here. Now the problem with this is it's such a tight space, and that nut, at least for my car, was really tough to get off. It was torqued pretty well on there. What I did was at first remove the battery and the battery tray, and then I took my 17mm wrench and I tried to pull with all my might, but it was just really stuck on there. I could not get any leverage whatsoever. And so what I decided to do was use a combination of my wrench and a bar from my floor jack. So the first thing I did was I loosened this part off to remove it like that. I also removed this part, so now the wrench could sit flush in there. So we're going to put the wrench in there, which is, again, 17mm. Okay, so the wrench is going to sit in there. Now, what I did was I wanted to put the bar at the other end of that wrench to get more leverage. So this is my old floor jack. I took this bar out. The end of the bar has a hole. And I found that if you put this right underneath the headlight, it's perfectly in line. So I slid this underneath here. And I went ahead and I attached that to the wrench. Okay, let's see if I can get that on. Perfect, just like that. So now it's attached. And then what I did was, I basically just pulled left to right to try to loosen it. And there's a good amount of room here where you actually can move this around. So I found that to be pretty useful. Here, you can see me moving it here. And with all that extra torque from the bar, I was actually able to get this nut unscrewed. And then what you're going to do is basically, hand thread this out and then put the bracket on and then reinstall it again. So just a quick tip to make things a little bit easier. Besides that, I actually found the kit to be, pretty straightforward. If this is your first time installing a supercharger, I can definitely sympathize with some people that the instructions are not that clear. I think for those of you who have done a Comptech or a Jackson's Racing supercharger, the Roots blower, this is not going to be too bad, at least for now. I don't know how the instructions will go from here on out. I would suggest using the Comptech installation instructions as a supplementary guide to the Kraftwerks kit. A lot of times they will use the same wording, and if you just use the diagrams from the Comptech kit, it will be a lot easier to understand. I do wish that a lot of the parts were labeled a little bit better, but from what I've done so far, it's really not that bad at all. Oh, and another thing I wanted to share here was the temperature gauge. So this is the intercooler for Kraftwerks, and this is the radiator for the car. This temperature gauge from the factory is actually installed on this side, but of course that's a problem because the intercooler is going to rub up against that. So all you have to really do is bend this bracket a little bit inwards and then flip the sensor around and then reinstall it. And as you can see now, there's a gap in the front and in the back of that sensor. So anyways, I'll keep some videos coming as I'm going along with the installation. I really appreciate Muster's thread and everybody who's contributed. Thanks for making things a little bit easier. But yeah, so far everything seems to be doing well. I actually believe that Kraftwerks has done a pretty good job listening to the thread, because a lot of the problems that that Jay described, I don't really have any of those issues. The tensioner, for example, Jay had to shave his, and actually the one that I got was already shaved from the factory, which was great. There was no problem in taking off the tension and putting the belt on. That was really, really easy to do. So, props to Kraftwerks and to Skunk too for listening to the threads there. But anyways, for you guys doing the install, good luck, and I'm excited. I can't wait to run this thing. Take care.